Star Comics was a Marvel imprint that aimed to capture younger readers, and though it featured several characters in comics, none shone as brightly as one funny animal parody hero. It may be accentuated by the fact I bought my first copy from a store shaped like a giant goose, but Spider-Ham got me trapped in his web unlike any other comic when I was a child, and my love of the character has stayed with me ever since. Want to know how much I have to say about Spider-Ham? Let's find out. I briefly mentioned Spider-Ham in my recent video, Top 10 Favorite Comic Characters. Wouldn't you know it, I just couldn't hold back any longer, so I thought Spider-Ham needed an episode all his own. And you need to know, I'm a sucker for cheesy puns, so I might be a little ham-fisted with puns this episode. Also, I'm focusing on the Larval Earth era of Spider-Ham. Those are his first 18 appearances, and the ones I read in elementary school that made me fall in love with the character. It inspired me so much in the 5th grade that I created a character called the Man of Aluminum, a parody of Superman, and I convinced my friend Michael to draw the comics I wrote. That partnership ended much like Lee and Kirby's when he decided he didn't need me to write stories and started creating solo projects. I called that his 5th world work. But if you don't know what Larval Earth is, it's Earth 8311. This differentiates it from Earth 616. And, as most assume, the 61 in 616 stands for the year 1961, when the Fantastic Four first appeared, I assume that 83 is for 1983, when our world was first granted the gift of Spider-Ham. Larval Earth is surrounded by an anthropomorphic field which turns animals into humanoid beings, and also, no humans seem to exist naturally in this world. Here are the facts. Peter Porker, the spectacular Spider-Ham, created by writer Tom DeFalco and artist Mark Armstrong. That picture might not be the proper Mark Armstrong. He seems to have fallen out of the public eye since his heyday. Spider-Ham first appeared in Marvel Tales, starring Peter Porker, the Spectacular Spider-Ham #1 in November 1983, published under Marvel's Star Comics imprint. This was followed 2 years later by an ongoing series, Peter Porker, the Spectacular Spider-Ham, that ran for 17 issues. Peter Porker is, as the name might suggest, an anthropomorphic pig. His size seems to vary a lot, but the internet said he's 5 feet 2 inches tall, but I think they may be padding that number just a little bit. Also, his weight is alleged to be 95 pounds, but like I said about his height, I wouldn't put a lot of money on that number being accurate. He wears a suit nearly identical to Spider-Man's, except it's tailored to fit a pig's body type, and his snout looks like Spider-Man's face. He also happens to have all the powers of Spider-Man. He's super strong, has superhuman, or super porcine I guess, agility, and can walk on walls. He has spider sense and wrist-mounted web shooters. Come on, everybody knows Spider-Man's powers, don't they? So, Peter Porker has the whole spider package in a bacon-wrapped display. But it's not all good stuff being a pig spider anthropomorphic guy. He has a major weakness for Mary Jane Water Buffalo. And when he crosses over to other universes, people laugh at him. Also, he's a pig, and people love bacon, so a lot of people probably want to eat him. I don't know. Here's Spider-Ham's story. It all started on Larval Earth, like I said. And it's important for Spider-Man scholars to note that Peter Parker was born a spider, simply named Peter. I mean, a spider doesn't need a last name, does it? Peter the Spider lived in the basement lab of May Porker, a slightly goofy animal scientist who had created the world's first atomic-powered hairdryer. She hoped the introduction of nuclear fission into America's beauty salons would revolutionize the hair care industry. After dousing her head with water and activating the dryer, May Parker accidentally irradiated herself. This threw her into a fit of delusion, and she bit Peter, who then found himself transformed into an anthropomorphic swine, much like May Porker herself. Running from the Porker homestead disoriented, Peter soon came to realize that he still retained a spider's abilities. He said, "This is astonishing! Am I a spider with the limitations of a pig, or a pig with the proportionate strength and agility of a spider? I've become something greater than either spider or pig. I've become a Spider Ham!" After this bizarre sequence of events, Peter adopted the surname Porker just like May Porker. Also, the radiation fried May's brain, and she believed she was Peter's loving aunt. Not one to let a blessing go to waste, Peter Porker dedicated himself and his newfound abilities to fighting injustice as the spectacular Spider Ham. Upon graduating college, Peter Porker took a photography job at tightwad J. Jonah Jackal's newspaper, the Daily Beagle, to keep up on current events and to have a ready market for Spider Ham pictures. At the Beagle offices, he met reporter Steve Mouser, alias Captain Americat, teaming up with him several times, both as journalists and heroes. In Spider Ham's first appearance, he took on the Gopher Gang, and when one of the unscrupulous gophers tried to shoot our acrobatic piggy hero in the back, Captain Americat popped in unexpectedly for the save. They then go on to investigate a masked marauder who's terrorizing a new video arcade and cross paths with the Incredible Hulk Bunny. In case you're curious, the masked marauder turned out to be the platypus that owned the amusement park next door. In the first issue of his solo series, Spider Ham visited the mysterious island of Dr. Doom. J. Jonah Jackal needed to send a very disposable photographer on a terribly dangerous mission, and decided Peter is the pig for the job. The quacktastic bad guy is on this island in exile as a result of a confrontation with the Fantastic Fur. That definitely didn't go in Dr. Doom's favor. In the eventual confrontation between J. Jonah and Doom, it turns out the metal-clad waterfowl wants to be a rock star, and he's outsmarted by a giant magnet. In his next adventure, we join Spider Ham in the middle of a battle with Buzzard, the Larval Earth version of Vulture who is an opossum. Wow, I feel like there's a more direct or a more obvious creative choice to be made, and they went all the way around it. Peter Porker then takes down a would-be jewel thief who is a frog dressed like a bull. I'm pretty sure he calls himself Bullfrog, and hey, I've never met a pun I didn't like. An aquatic adventure sees Spider Ham take down a submarine-based illegal casino. Then, in the old goat's home, Porker stops the robbery of the state pension repository, and we get to meet J. Jonah Jackal's mom, complete with flower pot in her hairdo. In Salad Days, Spider Ham comes up against the unlikeliest of foes, a group of vegetables given sentience for criminal purposes. Dr. Doom gets his hands on a serum that can bring animals out of a vegetative state, then gives it to turnips, lettuce, and celery, creating a squad of loyal hench veggies. But a crew of weaponized vegan fare are no match for a pig who packs a punch. And Spider Ham chops that salad up like a hungry guy on day 4 of his new heart-healthy lifestyle. Yeah, that's me. In an incident that predicted Infinity War just a touch, Spider Ham webs a spaceship and gets carried into the stars. Well, he doesn't really make it into the stars because things go haywire and the ship crashes into a brick building. But, in something totally unexpected, the brick building is in England during World War II, and the rocket was actually a time machine. In what just might be the most unbelievable moment in a comic built around the premise of a spider being bitten by a radioactive pig, the English soldiers mistake Spider Ham and his fellow time travelers for Nazis. Spider Ham escapes by disguising himself as an American pilot and meeting a nice English duck lady. I always say nice English duck ladies are the best kind of English duck ladies. I don't think she ever gives her name, but I like to think it's Peggy Quacker. But, in true heroic fashion, Spider Ham rescues his captured, time-displaced colleagues and gets them back to 1985 Larval Earth, Manhattan. In one of his most celebrated adventures, or most celebrated by me at least, Spider Ham battles the fierce Japanese kaiju Hogzilla. In Japan, Jacques Cousteau, that's Goose with a G, launches a lunchbox submarine which awakens a gigantic horror hiding in the ocean's depths. J. Jonah Jackal sees dollar signs in this natural disaster and sends Peter Porker to Japan to photograph it. When Hogzilla emerges on the beach and starts wreaking havoc, Tokyo is helpless to stop his wrath. Even Mecha Hogzilla is no match for the huge green pork product. That's when the good anthropomorphic animals of Japan are lucky Spider-Ham is in town. When the radioactively enhanced pig spider fails to stop the radioactively mutated giant hog, the film industry steps in to save the day. Japan's greatest film director, Kurosawa, offers to make Hogzilla a movie star, and the monster walks off into the sunset. When a mysterious green alien in a bowler hat gets dumped out of his spaceship in rural New Jersey, that becomes a job for your friendly neighborhood Spider-Ham. When the abandoned alien stumbles upon Orson Welles, spelled like the aquatic mammal, W-H-A-L-E, a War of the Worlds situation seems to be brewing. But in order to get people to believe him, the whale puts the alien in a box and ships it to the Daily Beagle. The alien then develops a fondness for Reese's Pieces and starts stealing candy all over town. Woodchuck Norris is hired to take down the alien, but I think we can see where this is going. The alien takes out Spider-Ham and then Woodchuck Norris in single combat. When the two heroes team up, they kind of save the day, I guess. I gotta be honest, sometimes it's hard to tell with Spider-Ham stories. Peter Porker took a whirl at being an Indiana Jones-style adventurer in the Temple of the Lost Golden Retriever. This outing began as a showdown with a villainous group of dogs called the Terrible Terriers. Then, Peter Porker gets sent on a dangerous photography expedition in the Amazon basin, because of course J. Jonah doesn't care if his porker is chopped. He finds a temple created in the shape of the most holy of symbols to a dog, and is taken inside by the temple's guardians. But we soon find out the whole ordeal was an inside job when a bitter reporter from the Daily Beagle is revealed to be at the heart of the affair. The whole debacle ends with the collapse of the temple, and Peter Porker never dons his Spider-Ham garb during this adventure. In Dog Day Afternoon, Spider-Ham quite literally tangles with a giant mechanical wolf that is actually the work of TV star Joan Colley, also known as Dragon Lassie. Issue 12 has the cheesiest title of all, Eat 'em and Weep, or The Gouda, the Bad, and the Ugly. Spider-Ham travels to the land of cheese and cheese byproducts. I guess that's Larval Earth, Wisconsin, don't you think? Don't you think? And has to battle an android scarecrow in order to take down a counterfeit cheese ring. Then he meets the bee yonder and gets a snazzy black suit. Spider-Ham encounters Quackula in Old MacDonald's House of Horrors. He also battles Chickenstein's monster quite ferociously, and a Moomy in the same adventure. Peter Porker goes to his first heavy metal concert when he sees Ozzy Ostrich perform live. Ozzy impresses the crowd by biting the head off a chocolate bunny. Peter Porker asks Batty Brant out on a date, but her rejection leaves him all wet. In his first encounter with the Hobgobbler, he rescues country western singer Barbara Mandrell. The nefarious villain, Pastepot Pete, you might want to check out my first episode, makes an appearance in issue 16, and Nick Fury and the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. find themselves in a sticky situation. This is followed by Mad Stinker's ham droid bopping Peter on the head. In a totally hip twist, Peter runs into a parody of Chris Rock's favorite rap group, the Fat Boys, only they are called the Fat Cats on Larval Earth. And the original run ends on a high note with Secret Furs, when we get to see the Bee Yonder and Spider-Ham's black suit once again. Also, Spider-Ham fights Dr. Octopussycat on a game show. What a way to end a run! Spider-Ham has had adventures beyond Larval Earth, including the main 616 titles, but he really became a star on TV and then movies. Spider-Ham appears in the Ultimate Spider-Man animated series, though not necessarily in canonical form. In the episode Run Pig Run, Loki disguises himself as a hot dog vendor and gives Spider-Man an enchanted hot dog that turns him into an anthropomorphic pig resembling Spider-Ham. A close approximation of a proper Spider-Ham appears in seasons 3 and 4. This version was a pig who got his powers from a spider that fell into his Aunt May's vitamin pancake batter. Then the pig ate the spider, I guess. Yuck! Spider-Ham really hit the big time in Academy Award-winning film Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. He arrives in Miles Morales' universe, teams up with Ultimate Spidey, and helps fight off the Kingpin's henchmen. This appearance truly elevated the popularity of the anthropomorphic arachno-porcine hero and made me a proud father, as he became my younger son's favorite character. A Spider Pig appears in the Simpsons movie as Homer Simpson's pet, who used to be in a Krusty Burger commercial. But this pig is not Peter Porker. In fact, that swine's name is actually Harry Plopper. It's also worth mentioning that there is a whole cast of heroes and villains on Larval Earth. It's not just Spider-Ham. A few examples include the Uncanny X-Bugs, mostly insects versions of the X-Men; Daredevil, the cloven-hooved animal without fear; Goose Rider, a goose who is Ghost Rider; Asinine Torch and Submarsupial, a fiery donkey and an aquatic marsupial; Nagnito, it's like Magneto, only it's an old nag; Fantastic Fur and Galactopus, you know, like at Marvel, only different; Ant, he's an ant that can become the size of an ant; Nick Fury and the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Gee, do I really need to keep explaining these? Thurr, Dog of Thunder, wow, they just keep coming. Mighty Scavengers, I think that's about enough of that, Mr. Teleprompter. Croctor Strange, come on, they get it. Awful Flight, now that's just rude. So, that should cover it. Thanks for watching my video. Let me know what you think down in the comments. Please subscribe so you get more content about material from comic books and related media. Don't forget to hit the bell so you never miss an episode. And until next time, remember, heroes are super.